In hindsight, it's so easy to look back on a situation and be like, wow, I wish I'd just stood up for myself. I wish I hadn't seen this as the end of the world. And I just want to put that out there. If you're struggling, if a friend's making you feel really awful, if you're really dreading having this conversation, if you're really dreading standing up for yourself, just remember, in hindsight, you're going to be able to look back and be like, I'm really glad I did this for myself. So do it for future you. If you're a kind person that really struggles to stand up for yourself, this video is for you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to discuss how to honour your feelings and to stand up boldly to the people in your life. Standing up for yourself doesn't require you to have a personality shift and for you to change. You don't need to be extroverted or loud or assertive or aggressive. In fact, being rude only weakens your argument and makes you look immature. You can rise up and speak in a kind, mature way. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today and helping you with. I'm a naturally caring, empathetic, shy person, so shouting my boundaries isn't something that comes natural to me. I also like to treat people how I want to be treated. So communicating my needs in a non-aggressive way feels right to me. So I'm going to give you 5 tips to help you stand up for yourself in a kind and constructive way. Hopefully this will save a few friendships. Women have learned to silence themselves. Culturally, we've maintained the idea that women shouldn't speak up when they're uncomfortable. Women have learned to sit with their discomfort. So step 1 is to just understand why you're being met with this resistance, why it's so difficult to stand up for yourself. Recognise what's culturally going on, the cultural context. You shouldn't be angry at yourself and thinking, oh, I'm weak and I can't stand up for myself and I can't do this and I'm rubbish. And stop the negative self-talk and actually look at the wider context, because the wider context is why you've adapted to become this specific individual and why you deal with conflict or discomfort in this certain way that kind of ends up being self-sabotaging. It's not your fault, and God, the amount of times I've heard women kind of blame themselves. All humans deserve to speak up when they're uncomfortable, when they're suffering, when a friend's being nasty to them. Men don't get labelled the same way that women do when asserting boundaries. There's these kind of double standards, men and women. Men can be assertive and it's a good thing, but women can't be, and I think that's what I'm trying to say. Cultural context. We live in a sexist world where the ideas are kind of confusing and unfair, and we expect women to just take on all this emotional stuff and not actually have anything to say and not stand up for themselves and not set boundaries and not just be honest with how they're feeling.
I want you to be able to say,
I'm actually putting myself first and this is how I feel and this is what I need you to do.
We want a bit more of that.
I want you to be able to speak up when you're unhappy with your friends. I want you to be able to bring your authentic self to the table. I want you to be sincere with your friends. And that does involve sometimes the tough love. So repeat after me. I deserve to speak with full authenticity. We can repeat affirmations to break patterns. If a friend is pushing you to do something or making you uncomfortable, maybe pushing you to drink, maybe encouraging you to go out when you don't want to go to a social event, or just taking advantage of you, now's the time to kind of repeat these positive affirmations in your head to tell you that you are worthy of being respected. I deserve to heal by speaking my truth to others. I deserve to get my needs met by others. I deserve to speak with full authenticity.
I deserve to get my needs met by others. I deserve to speak with full authenticity. I deserve to heal by speaking my truth to others.
Once you have stood up for yourself to your friends, you might be plagued with feelings of guilt. You might start to feel like you shouldn't have said anything. You might feel the urge to bombard that friend with texts to make sure that she still wants to be your friend. You might end up going to a parent and asking them, did I do the right thing? You know what's right deep down. You also know what's wrong deep down. If you get the urge to say something to your friend because they're making you uncomfortable, that's enough to know that it's right for you. Don't go asking your parents because they might tell you something you don't want to hear. Sit with these feelings. Don't act on the guilt. As a fellow woman living in this patriarchal world, I completely get it. I know how hard standing up for your needs can be. Stay strong and be proud of yourself. You deserve to feel good. You deserve to set boundaries. You knew that something wasn't feeling right. You were feeling sick or uncomfortable in your body when you were around that person. You felt the urge to voice what was going on. You felt the urge to say, now look, I need you to do this for me, otherwise our friendship is not going to go on. What you're actually doing is good for your friend too. because a true friend, a friend that really cares about you, they'll want you to feel comfortable in the friendship. I know guilt can then turn into self-sabotaging and negative self-talk, and we just need to make sure that if we get those feelings, we just observe them, we realise they're not reality, watch the thoughts come, the negative thoughts, watch them go. Obviously, I'm not encouraging an argument, but it could turn into a heated situation if the person gets defensive, which they might do. Just a warning. But as long as you stay true to yourself and you don't label them or name call or do anything like that, you just say how you're feeling and how they've hurt you without attacking their personality, then you're doing the right thing and that's all you can do. And where it goes isn't in your hands. Just being honest with your truth is all you can do. And it's super brave, and I say it's all you can do, it's hard and it's a lot, but you can do it, and I do believe in you. If you do that and you feel guilty and you end up feeling the urge to buy them something to make up for it or arrange to meet up as much as possible, it's only you freaking out that you're going to lose them. And at the end of the day, they weren't making you feel good. So if you lost them, would it be the end of the world? Maybe you'd be making room for friends that are actually going to make you feel really, really good and safe and happy.
Moving on.
Language is key when standing up for yourself. In order to be as clear as possible, avoid any dancing around the topic, any fluffy terms, any, oh, I really don't want to upset you, but go straight into it, be very clear, keep it short and sweet. Don't sugarcoat anything. Obviously, avoid name calling, as I said, and attacking the person, but please don't avoid being straight up. Address what's been upsetting you, that's the goal. If the person responds with something that you don't like or that's unfair, just say, look, I do disagree and I'm not happy with this, so maybe we should take a time out and maybe come back to it in a few weeks when we've had a bit of time to think about this individually. Try and not force your opinions or how you're feeling, because some people might struggle to understand and put themselves in your shoes. Some people aren't empathetic. You might be empathetic, you might be able to understand and put yourself in other people's shoes, and that's a real skill and that's really cool, but sometimes people just don't have the same. Just give people time, and people might get defensive and hopefully they won't say anything nasty to you. Just take it with a pinch of salt, and if they're really nasty to you, there's no point in actually going back there and trying to forge a friendship with a nasty individual. If things get really personal and they say some hard-hitting things, walk away. You're completely entitled to walk away. Don't stay friends with anyone that makes you doubt yourself. Also, another reason to keep it short and sweet is to avoid saying something you don't mean. It's very easy to feel uncomfortable in these situations because you're addressing an issue and it's awkward and we don't want to do it, so we babble and then we say things we don't mean, and then it gets really uncomfortable because then we have to apologise for that, and then we just lose sight of what we were trying to achieve in the first place. It's easy to keep talking when you're uncomfortable and when there's silent gaps. If the person doesn't say anything, you don't need to say anything either. You can say, look, do you have anything to say, or should we just leave it there and talk about this later or something? Just don't babble on. You don't owe anyone a lengthy explanation as to what's going on in here. Also, women, this is 100% for you. Don't dish out any unnecessary sorries. Even the other day, I was in a supermarket, me and my boyfriend, and we were walking down an aisle and this stranger let us past and I said sorry and my boyfriend said thank you. So my boyfriend felt very entitled to take up the space and walk past. He didn't feel apologetic, but I jumped to say sorry and I had nothing to be sorry about. So it's just interesting how women really just do feel so apologetic for just existing and navigating the world like men do, and I just want you to keep those sorries for when you actually mean it. I know sometimes it's actually unconscious and we don't realise we're doing it, but it does go a long way, and if you tell someone that you're sorry, then they might read it as, oh, they've actually acknowledged that they've done something wrong too. Please don't say sorry to cushion the blow. If someone's done something wrong, they need to know. I'm sorry if you feel like you're being called out or you think I'm being too direct. I know I sometimes get into a bit of like a formulaic, robotic, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. I completely understand that it's so hard. It's okay to struggle with this, but you deserve more. Just thought I'd say that. My third tip, I want to encourage you to just take time to acknowledge your worth, what you have to bring to the table. I say this all the time in my videos, but I think women a lot of the time don't realise how special they are. Okay, we hear a lot of compliments from guys about our appearance or certain assets visually that we have, but I think it's a bit harder to acknowledge what internally we have to give to people, what our personality does for other people. So I want you to recognize what makes you special. So next time someone questions your character or judges you, or if you stand up to a friend and they retaliate and they're not nice and they don't try and make the friendship work and try and respect your boundaries, you can be like, you know what? I am an amazing person. I have so much to give. I don't need to stand for this because people are going to be lining up to be my friend. I want you to be able to reassure yourself. Being able to tell yourself, you know, you're enough, this is why, here are my positive qualities. It's the most powerful thing, because then no one can take that power away from you, because no one's having to validate why you're worthy of being friends with. You don't need people to tell you, because you know, and you tell yourself and you remind yourself. If you know your value, it's easier to stand up for yourself. Try writing in your iPhone notes 3 qualities that you admire about yourself. If you find this a bit hard, try writing 3 things that your family or friends would say they admire about you. Something I've learned through doing therapy is you need to give yourself examples. If you don't give your brain examples, it's really hard to actually process that and believe it. So say, I'm a great talker because I was actually chosen in year 11 to do a speech in front of the whole school and represent our school, and everyone said I was so good. Perhaps you're thoughtful, energetic, funny, dedicated. If you lose someone, maybe you go through a breakup, if someone chooses to walk out of your life, having this list of positive qualities and examples is great to go back to. If you recognise the value you bring to other people's lives, then you won't latch on to people as much. Why would you feel the need to latch on to people when you know how much you have to bring? If you really appreciate all the beautiful things that you bring to the world, you know that people are going to be attracted to you, friends and partners. In hindsight, it's so easy to look back on a situation and be like, wow, I wish I'd just stood up for myself. I wish I hadn't seen this as the end of the world. And I just want to put that out there. If you're struggling, if a friend's making you feel really awful, if you're really dreading having this conversation, if you're really dreading standing up for yourself, just remember, in hindsight, you're going to be able to look back and be like, I'm really glad I did this for myself. So do it for future you. Please like, share, subscribe and comment. I don't think I actually said at the start my name's Alessia. Please actually comment and let me know what happens if you want to, if you feel comfortable. Good luck.